mosquito, don't worry. Come on.
ऐसे कौन वेट करता है?
Can you turn off the light? And I will find it. Hey Google, turn off sky.
Got it. Turning off 2 lights.
What time is it?
Late o'clock.
One-tenth of 1%. And other things. It's never much more than that. That's sort of maxed out, I think. You know,
Yeah.
race car drivers, bull riders, I think that's tough.
Yeah.
UFC fighters.
This is my salary for my online.
1/10 of 1% of auto races die.
Yep.
Bull riders, I think that's pretty dangerous,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
I don't know much about it, but I think I wouldn't want to be on one of those suckers.
No.
Yeah.
I see them flying off and the hoof is like an inch from the eye, and when it hits the eye, you're gone,
Game
right?
over. Yeah.
They are very, well, it's about the same. 1/10 of 1%.
Yeah.
And other things. It's never much more than that. That's sort of maxed out, I think. You know,
Yeah.
race car drivers, bull riders, I think that's pretty much tough.
Yeah.
UFC fighters, it's none. You know, I don't think anyone's ever actually.
Not in UFC, in MMA or boxing.
Maybe,
Sports,
and
there
my-
was those tragedies.
Winning nobody else.
UFC, Dana tells me it's a safe sport. I say, to me, it's much rougher. But, you know, it's pretty amazing. They've never, in UFC, they've
Yeah.
never lost. And they run a great operation. They've never, nobody's died. But with presidents, it's like a substantial percentage.
Way higher than we
When
realize.
you
Yeah.
look at Lincoln and Kennedy and this and that. I
The
mean,
attempts,
you go
Reagan.
through
Yeah.
McKinley.
Yep.
Garfield.
You look at a lot of people. I'm
Yeah.
in a very dangerous
Dangerous business.
profession.
Yeah.
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 I call it a profession.
Yes.
Yeah.
A
I like that.
dangerous profession.
I like that.
I'm sitting with you guys. You have a very nice, safe life. Me?
Yeah.
So, no, if you said 5%.
I think
no,
he called us soft.
no,
Yeah,
but think
I'm fine
of
with
it.
that.
Yeah, but think of it. 5%.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's high.
That's a lot.
I
And
think even the attempts is something like
Attempts?
25%.
Yeah.
Of
attempts
presidents have had
is getting
attempt.
into really
It's crazy.
numbers. So people don't think of that. You know, you run and you see, and then you win, and you're down Pennsylvania, and you're looking at everything.
This is my salary for my online job that I have working for a USA-based company. And I'm not from the US, I'm from Portugal. Getting a job like this is not as hard as people think. And it's the best way to make money online this year. And yes, I mean an actual job.
And again, back 7 now. Also, welcome to every joined session. This is Kratz. My name's Stan. I'll be your stigma for the next some time. Now, perhaps anything about always an option, feel free to use them.
1,000 different business schemes with no results is to get a job like this for almost 3 years. And I just recorded a quick presentation on my website where I explain exactly what this job is and how you can get one yourself. So if that sounds interesting to you, click the link below and check it out. I believe you'll like it.
क्या आप वीडियो एडिटिंग सीख के इस तरह की डॉक्यूमेंट्रीज बनाना चाहते हो?
You're in a
That's the
dangerous
stuff.
profession.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things. I was saying before, you're in a
That's the
dangerous
stuff.
profession.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things. I was saying before, though, that, you know, I do a thing called a weave.
Yeah.
And there are those that are fair that say, this guy is so genius. And then others would say, oh, he rambled. I don't ramble. If I
weave.
start a story,
Yeah.
what you do is you weave things and you do it. You have to have certain things. You need an extraordinary memory because you have to come back to where you started.
Yes.
You always, a weave is only good
They
if
don't
you
give you
come
credit
back.
for that.
Yeah, it's true.
That you could go all the way over here and then
I
get
can
back.
go so far here or there, and I can come back to exactly where I started. Now, someday when you don't come back to where you started,
You're Biden.
then you say, no, but the weave is the way. When you're telling, like a story, I was telling a story at a rally the other day in front of thousands of people, and I started off, and then
You were weaving them up.
something in the story,
Bro.
I actually mentioned Air Force One. It was Air Force One was there, so I mentioned Air Force One, and then I said how I got $1.6 billion off the price of Air Force One. So, but then you have to come back to the story. Where was Air Force One taking you?
As
So
always.
anyway, I do a weave. I call it the weave, and some people think it's so genius, but the bad people, what they say is, you know, he was rambling.
Yeah.
It's not a ramble. There's no rambling.
This is a
with
weave.
it. This is a weave. I
weave.
call it the weave. Good name. I'm not sure. That's another name. We had fake news.
Yeah,
We came up
yeah.
with lots of names.
Yeah.
But the weave is, I think we should make the weave a part of that
Yeah.
Stable.
Yeah, you really weaved away to answering my question twice.
That's brilliant.
So
I don't even want to know the answer
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah,
I'm going to keep weaving.
I lost interest.
We'll weave back.
Yeah.
Let's weave back to his question. Because this is where it started. So we'll weave back to it. So I sort of hate answering it because
Yeah.
I don't want to give any false identities. I don't want to do anything having to do with creating something that isn't there. You would look at Iran. Iran has an open threat out for me, and
Right.
that's bad. And Biden, if he were a real president, if he were the kind of guy he should be,
Yeah.
should say, if anybody shoots a former president who's now the leading candidate,
Valid.
even though he's leading against Democrats, we will bomb that country into oblivion. And it would stop. And that's been said before with some people. You know, there have been people, I won't go into it, but there have been people that have been threatened in another party even. In the same party, it makes sense and probably happens pretty quickly. But
Yeah.
in another party, you know, it's hard for them to
To cross the
to
line.
want to protect me,
Yeah.
but it shouldn't be hard. Other people have protected other people, and what you have to inform those people is if they do it, the country will be blown to smithereens. The entire country will be blown to smithereens, and those threats go away because that's a really bad threat
Yeah.
for a country. Forget about me, I'm an individual, but I represent something very important.
It's true.
That's a really terrible threat.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are others that could be in that category. Look, I took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China at a level that no president took in anything. I had tariffs on China, took in hundreds of billions of dollars. They're still there. That without me, they wouldn't have those tariffs on. So you could say, but no, I think Iran would be the one.
All right, guys, let's take a break for a second because we got to shout out the greatest law firm in America, Morgan & Morgan, America's largest personal injury law firm. For over 35 years, they've been fighting and winning for the people just like you and me. They've won so much that they've racked up more than $20 billion in recoveries for their clients. That's right, billion with a B. So when life tries to slam you with an injury, it might be time to tap in to Morgan & Morgan. And because they've got your back, I'm excited to announce that they're offering one lucky listener $2,000 and 2 tickets to WWE's Royal Rumble. Now, entering to win is easy. Let me tell you, all you have to do right now is text flagrant to For the People and follow the text prompts. Good luck. Maybe we'll see you there at WrestleMania. Now let's get back to the show.
All right, guys, I'm going to do this ad read again because Miles really doesn't want me to, and I want to add to his workload. You got to know about Cook Unity, man. It's a meal delivery service where meals are actually prepared by award-winning professional chefs. Every meal is prepared in small batches to ensure the highest level of quality in culinary craft. How do I know this? I don't know. Maybe there's a little collaboration coming, front to back. There are hundreds of weekly menu items you can choose from, dozens of global cuisines, and they got an app that offers a seamless experience to make ordering and planning as easy, pain-free as possible. This is the only meal delivery service that offers you cooking without compromise. You don't got to cook. Professional chefs do the cooking, but you get top-tier quality, variety, convenience, and it's as little as $6 per meal. And if you visit cookunity.com, for Flagrant listeners, you get 50% off your first order and 10% off your next 3 weeks. All you got to do is sign up at cookunity.com/flagrant. Guys, that's all you got to do, cookunity.com/flagrant. And again, keep an eye out. Your boy might have a little something cooking. Let's get back to the show.
I was tough with other countries, but I got along very well with them. But, you know, we were like a pussycat. We were ripped off by every nation in the world, and some of the worst rippers were our so-called allies, people that countries that we supposedly get along with, but they're the ones that took advantage of us on trade at a level like, you know, I mean, I ended some of the dumbest trade deals I've ever seen and made them much better for the country. I mean, what difference does it make? I took a terrible trade deal, would make it a good trade deal. But like Japan, I redid the trade deal. South Korea, I did the trade deal. The deals. I went to Abe of Japan. I said, Shinzo, he was assassinated. He was as you probably know, he was incredible, great man. He was a great leader for the people. They loved him. I said, Shinzo, look, we can't do this. The trade deal is so bad. We're friends, but I have to renegotiate the trade deal. And he said to me, I knew that would happen. I said, why did you know? Because you're right. It's so one-sided.
Wow.
It's like he said, I knew you'd catch us. But they went through many presidents where Japan was, as an example, they'll send us millions of cars. We're not allowed to send them any. They send us their farm product. We were sending them practically nothing. It was like a one-way. Everything was one-way. And by the way, virtually China was the worst, but there were many countries almost as bad. The European Union was almost as bad, in my opinion. You know, it sounds nice. Oh, the European Union is so nice. They were ruthless in their trading. And I said to Angela Merkel, how many Chevrolets do we have in the middle of Berlin? Well, I don't believe any. I said, you're right. And yet we take in all of that. We take in Mercedes-Benz and BMW, and we take in all of this Volkswagen. We're taking in all of these millions and millions of cars. I say, how many American cars are in the middle of Munich or Berlin? And the answer is none. And I had things change around. So, you could say, I think that the answer would be, at this moment, Iran. And I think they could catch him. And if we had a real president, which we don't have a real president. We have a man that is grossly inept. And it's very dangerous because these guys are all at the top of their game. When you talk about President Xi and you talk about any one of the leaders in the world, Macron, he's a smart guy. He's all for France. I mean, he would take the shirt off your back if you didn't know what you were doing.
So when you're with these guys, are these guys all sharks?
Yeah.
And you can sense the energy immediately?
Yeah, not all of them, but some of them aren't sharks in terms.
How are you assessing personality?
Okay,
when you
well,
meet them?
I can tell you, like,
Great.
Modi, India.
Yeah.
He's a friend of mine. He's great. He's the nicest.
India. This is for you.
Oh, good. Well, I'll tell you. Do you like him or not?
Yeah.
Do you like him?
I have family on both sides of it.
Okay,
I have
well,
family
let me
that
tell
loves
you.
everything and family
I'll just
that's
tell
not.
you. You meet him. I know. Well, they had, before him, they were replacing him every year. It was very unstable. He came along.
He's in a lot
and
for
he's
construction.
great. He's a friend of mine. But on the outside, he looks like he's your father. He's the nicest, total killer. Because I asked him,
Yeah.
we're talking, they did a thing called Howdy Modi in Houston, Texas.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And they filled up the stadium. It was me and him. We filled up the stadium. It was beautiful. Like 80,000 people. It was going crazy. And we're walking around today. Maybe I wouldn't be as, maybe you wouldn't do that. But we're walking in the middle, waving to everybody. Anyway, but we have a very good relationship. He's the nicest human being. But we had a couple of occasions where somebody was threatening India. I said, let me help. I'm very good with those people. Let me help. I will do it. I will do it. And I will do anything necessary. We've defeated them for hundreds of years.
Wow.
He was talking about a certain country. Okay?
Yeah.
You can probably guess the country.
Yeah.
Can't fathom which.
You know the country.
Yeah.
But I said, whoa, what happened there? What happened? So, no, they're all tough and they're all smart. And some are very good people. He's a good person. There's some are good people and some aren't good people. But they're all at the top of their game. And we have her, who is now more important than him, I guess, although he's still president of this country. And we're talking about nuclear war. And he's not capable. He doesn't even know what it is. He said yesterday, when they talked about should they hit Iran's nuclear, no, you shouldn't do that. He said, no, it's sort of just the opposite. Because the nuclear is the biggest threat we have in the world today. It's not global warming where the oceans are rising 1/8 of an inch in the next 500 years.
Right.
The threat that we have, the biggest threat is nuclear war.
Yeah.
You seem concerned about that.
I am, because it only takes one. I am.
Very true.
There are 5 countries now that have capability, and soon they'll have more, and we shouldn't let there be more. And I was at a point very good, despite the Russia hoax. It was a total hoax, and we were totally exonerated and everything else. I could have told them that the first day, but that causes, a lot of problems. A lot of problems, and they're a big nuclear power. We were close to a deal for getting rid of nuclear weapons. It would be so good.
For all countries or just Russia?
We were talking about Russia, ourselves, and China.
Oh wow.
And we would then bring everyone else into it. And
So you all
strongly
would get rid of your nuclear capabilities.
denuclearize, yes. We were going to get rid
Totally
of
denuclearized.
nuclear because it's too powerful.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Yeah.
You know, my uncle, Dr. John Trump, was the
Country doctor.
yeah, Dr. John Trump. Well, he was a nuclear doctor. Actually, he was at MIT. He's the longest-serving professor at MIT. He passed away. Great guy. He was a brilliant guy, a brilliant scientist. And he used to tell me, he said, a long time ago, he'd say, Donald, someday it's very dangerous. Somebody will be able to carry a small briefcase into a building in New York and blow up the entire city.
Oh, wow.
I said, you gotta be kidding me, Uncle John. That will never happen. He was like a really brilliant guy. He was there for, I think, 41 years. He's the longest-serving professor in the history of MIT.
Oh, wow.
So when I understand physics and when I understand things well, they say, how come there's good genetics. You know, I'm a believer. Are you guys believers in that? Were your parents funny? Were they comedians?
Yeah, my mom's side is Scottish. And,
Fellow Scottish, yeah.
Oh.
Scottish women tend to be.
You know,
pretty-
my mom.
Yeah.
I was
side
going to ask
Scottish.
you about that. Yeah.
And she was great.
Which is that where you get your humor
Yeah,
from?
well, I'll tell you what. England at the time, they
Yeah. they
fought
call
them
it.
for 1,000 years trying to get them undertow. They couldn't do it.
Couldn't do it.
They're very tough. That
Yeah.
reminds me of my mother. Come to think of it. Now, my mother was great. She was Stornoway,
Yeah.
the Hebrides, right? That's really serious Scottish.
Yeah.
But she was great. But it is true when you see Braveheart. That was one of many times. You know, for hundreds.
Did you
of
watch that
years.
with your mom by any chance?
No, I didn't. I didn't get to. I'll tell you. I saw Braveheart. I think Mel Gibson is a very good guy. I've met him
Yeah.
a number of times. Good guy. But I'll tell you, that was super Mel Gibson in his prime.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So,
Unbelievable.
and I was on a plane, and there was absolutely nothing to do. It was one of these planes that you couldn't make calls, you couldn't do, and they had tapes.
That's all plans for us.
And they showed me like they showed me, sir, we have 20 tapes. And I looked at the tapes and they were all, and this was like 20 years after it was made. This was probably 6 years ago.
Okay.
I never saw Braveheart.
Okay.
And
Oh, wow.
they showed me a tape. I say, all right, let's put that one on. And within about 4 minutes, I said, this may be the greatest movie I've ever seen.
It's incredible.
Within 4 minutes.
No, I'm a Braveheart fan. But you've seen it.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
I saw it with my mom.
I
She
mean,
was
how
emotional.
could-
20 stands,
I wish I
15
could've
stands.
won.
Let's see.
But it was great.
Was that your Braveheart moment? Like after getting shot when you stood
No,
up?
no. You don't,
No, never
you
take
don't
my
think
freedom.
of that in those moments. You do what you do.
Yeah, thank God you weren't thinking about Mel Gibson. And
Nah, but he's good. But he was when he in prime time he was
Oh,
great.
unbelievable.
I mean, at that,
run.
you know, his look, his way, and you couldn't have had a better
Yeah.
guy playing it. But that was a great movie. So,
Yeah.
but it is true, England, and you know,
Scotland fought
at
for
the
years.
time, for 1,000 years.
yeah.
I mean, they'd have the battles with thousands or once 1,000,
Yeah.
and they run at each other.
Yeah.
Tell me that.
I
You
mean,
think,
the-
you think that takes guts? They run at each
Yeah.
other,
I think so.
knowing they're gonna pretty much die, right?
The Roman army built walls to keep out the Scottish when they were up in England.
Yeah. They were
Yeah.
afraid of the Scottish.
They were
yes.
afraid.
The Scottish people, they're tough people. They're good people. Actually, they're very great people, but they're good fighters.
But your mom was funny.
She was funny, yes.
That's what I hear.
She
I
was-
hear she
She
was.
had a great sense of humor, and my father loved my mother. You know, they were married for,
Yeah. Polar opposites though.
yeah, my father was German,
Serious.
serious, but good. He was a tough guy, but he had a good heart. When he walked down the street, and they would say we could walk down the street,
Yeah.
he would always give something to, if there was somebody that had problems. He used to have the can and a pencil, you know, the can of, my father would always put $100 in that thing.
wow.
He'd always do it. Now, he had a tremendous heart, but he was a tough guy. He was tough. He was just like no nonsense. It was firm. My mother was a woman, and I don't know how your mother felt, but she loved the Queen. Don't forget, the Queen was, you know, the Queen was great. Oh, would she have liked, because the Queen honored me before she died. She
Really?
honored me as the president in Buckingham Palace. And there's nobody that does it like the English. There's nobody that has that, you know, the pomp and ceremony. But my mother would love that. Your mother, so Did she feel strongly about like the royalty?
I think they're obsessed with the royal family out there, like in general.
Your mother would have been.
She was really into all the pageantry for sure.
My mother was.
Yeah.
My mother thought the Queen was great.
Yeah.
She thought the Queen was so wonderful.
Some of my family hates the English, though.
I know.
There's some history there.
I know. But a lot of it's a hard breakup. You know, they tried to break up Scotland from the rest of the empire, so to speak.
Because they got some oil.
And it made it by about like a half a point.
Yeah.
They kept it together, so I hope it stays together. I hope it always stays together. But England, as they say, because it used to be England, but England never could. And they were bigger.
Yeah.
And they had more people.
Yeah.
They could never finish it off by capturing Scotland. So it's really sort of.
They ended up having to marry together.
They married.
Yeah.
They became sort of subsidiaries, right?
I guess. Yeah.
But it was great. That's interesting with your mother.
Guys, that little chunk of this scintillating conversation with President Trump has been brought to you by.
Bad. I see political things that are hard. I mean, we have a lot of corrupt people in this country, and I see it. And horrible corrupt people. We have people that, you know, I really do. We have, from the inside, we have really bad people, and outside we do, but I think the outside is bad. I think it's easier to handle China. If you have a smart president who knows, you know, some things, if you had who knows how to deal, let's say, you're not going to have a problem with Russia. Russia would have never attacked Ukraine if I were president. I used to talk to Putin about it. I got along great with him. They would have never, ever done it. I ended his pipeline, you know. I ended the pipeline called Nord Stream 2. Nobody ever heard of Nord Stream 2.
Yeah.
I said, are you building a pipeline going to Europe? Yeah. I said, I don't think so.
Yeah.
And I told, I got them together. I said, you mean we're defending you from Russia and you're paying them billions of dollars a month for oil? It's not going to work that way. And I ended it. And then when Biden came in, he gave it back. The biggest project they ever had, right? He gave it back. And then everyone said, Trump is friends with Putin and stuff. Putin would say, if you're my friend, I'd hate like hell to see you as my enemy. Think of it. And I put a lot of sanctions on. But I got along with Russia. I got along with pretty much everybody. Actually, the tougher they were, the better I did with them. That's a good thing, not a bad thing, because the other ones are easier to handle. But the ones that I got along with, and they're also the bigger threats. I got along very well with President Xi of China. But when COVID came, I was not happy with him because it came out of the labs. I mean, they released it from accidentally, I believe. You know, a lot of people would say it wasn't an accident, but they got hit very hard. They got hit as hard as anybody in the world. You know, it was late. It was belated. It was a late hit.
Yeah.
But when COVID came, I made an unbelievable trade deal with China. They have to buy $50 billion of our product every year. It was nobody could believe I got that deal done. I don't even talk about it because of COVID. I don't even talk about it. That deal is unbelievable. And what's happened now, our farmers have been hit because Biden hasn't pressed them to honor the deal. You know, I used to, every day I'd get up, how much did China buy today? Sir, I'd call them up and say, you're behind. You have to buy $50 billion. Do you think Biden does that? Biden's sleeping. But I over the last week, I have, when we talk about funny or sad, I think it's more sad than funny. He has one ability I don't have. He sleeps. He can sleep. This guy goes on a beach, and he lays down on one of those, 6-ounce, they weigh 6 ounces and you can't lift it. They're meant for children, young people, and old people to lift. They're aluminum, hollow aluminum. They weigh very little, and he can't lift. And somebody convinced him he looks great in a bathing suit. And when you're 82, typically bathing suits aren't going to make you look great. You're not going to be enhanced. All right? It's just one of those things. I can't be sure about that, but typically,
depends what he's packing. He could.
I don't know what the hell he's packing, but I don't want to, and I don't want to know either. I don't know, but he has an ability to fall asleep while on camera. He can lie down on one of those things, and in minutes he's stone cold out.
How does he do it?
And he's got cameras because he's the president, so they have cameras on him. And then they show him sleeping on the beach. You'll never see me sleeping in front of camera.
How do we get you better at that? Like, what can we do? How do we work on that as a country?
As a country? We got to save our country. Look, we are a nation in decline, whether you like it or not.
I hate hearing that.
I know. I hate
That
it.
hurts me. That
It's
hurts
a-
me.
it's
to
a
hear.
hor-
As a
horrible-
proud American, I
Well, what you
Yeah.
like though is, but we're going to be greater than ever before.
so that's I think
Yeah.
the messaging that I think that's really nice
well, that's
to hear.
my ultimate message. But
Yes.
you can't avoid the fact that we've allowed 21 million people into our country in the last 3.5 years. And I don't know your persuasion. I don't know if you guys are liberal or what, but nobody can be happy with 21 million people openly walking into a place we don't know. And it was released last week
Yeah.
that 13,000 of those people are murderers. 13,099. 13,000 of those people are in prison. They're incarcerated for murder, and they let them out.
I think you have
Into a-
support on this, though. I think everybody,
Tremendous support.
regardless.
I think I'll let
of-
you know.
of their
I'll
political
let you know
affiliation.
on November 6th
Yeah.
if I have support.
Yeah. But
The
I
day
don't
after
think-
the election.
I don't think there's
November 5th,
pushback.
the most important day.
Yeah,
No,
I
I'll
think
let you
people
know.
are agreeing they want a strong border. And I think I don't think that's an issue that's like tearing the country apart. But I do think that there is something that
There are
yeah.
some people that want to open, and they're either.
But they're like politicians that are getting some sort of reinforcement
Yeah.
through this. The average American, I don't think is going.
Or
We
they hate
need
our
an
country.
open board. Yeah.
I think only a person that hates our country, actually, maybe it's a down deep hatred, can want open borders. So we took in more than 21 million people in the last 3.5 years, and we have no idea where they even come from. They're terrorists, they're drug dealers. You know, in Venezuela, and it's not just South America, but take Venezuela. They've taken their criminals off the streets of Caracas, which was a very dangerous city. You couldn't walk across the street in Caracas and get a loaf of bread. Right now, it's a safe city. Their crime is down 72%. They've taken all of their criminals, almost all of them, and they brought them into the United States and
Right.
dumped them.
Yeah.
That's not ending well. You know where some of them went? To Aurora in Colorado. And they took over the town. They took it over.
The whole town?
Oh, pretty much, yeah. You know how they took it over? With guns. They went into the real estate business. Like me, I had to go to a bank and borrow.
Yeah.
They went in with
guns.
MK-47s, or they went in with
Would have been so much easier.
weapons
Yeah.
like nobody's ever seen before. You
Yeah.
know,
I think most people
they
are
went
on
in with
board.
military-style weapons. They've taken it over.
But I think most people are on board with deporting any illegal that has committed a crime.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's bipartisan support of that. I think the tricky thing comes, and honestly, I have empathy. Like, you're a business owner.
Yeah.
There's been people, I'm not trying to out you, but like, there's been people I'm sure that might not have had like legal citizenship that have maybe worked in various businesses. And it's like, you know, I've definitely been taken care of as a kid by people that weren't legal, babysitters and stuff. So there are people that maybe would like a path to citizenship that I have a lot of empathy for.
You have to start with the criminals.
Agreed.
Okay, look.
But
I have
maybe,
said-
but maybe we can.
It's very tough.
Maybe we can open our hearts a little bit to the
I
people who
agree.
are trying to be,
Right.
you know, good, hardworking
And
Americans.
you know what's going to happen? You're going to be in the midst of this. Now, you know, Dwight Eisenhower was sort of a moderate, General Eisenhower. Did you know that they had 8% generals, president of the United States, 8% were generals, 92% were politicians, and then you had Trump. See, that's a weave. You know, we go off at just
I
for a
like
second.
that.
So
Because now, like, where we weave into, I'm into this.
No, think of it, because we're talking about generals, and then you get back onto the general.
There you go.
Because what I was going to say is that Eisenhower
I like the
is a
play-by-play
moderate.
for the week.
No, it's good, though. Isn't it
Yeah.
great? We go into it, we mention Eisenhower, and then I say he was a general, 8% generals, 92%, and now you go back, okay?
Boom.
It's part of the weave, you know?
Yeah.
Then you go back.
Yeah.
No, you got to
Finger
keep
roll.
it all together. You got to be sharp. If you're not sharp, you're dead. But think of it. Think of it. No, but think of it. So we have 92% and 8%. Nobody, no admirals,
Yeah.
and no business people until me. So now
Yeah.
we have me. I'm one.
Yeah.
So I'm.
And then maybe things change after that. Here's.
No, I think it will
yeah.
change. There'll never be another business person that ever does this.
Okay, here's a
Because
question.
I've been treated so badly that I think that no person of success. Don't forget, my whole life was deals. Deals. Most guys are stiffs.
Yes.
Like they'll run for office. There's
Yeah.
no deal. There's no nothing. You can't
Yeah.
get yourself in trouble much.
Yeah.
You can be a crooked politician,
Yeah.
which some are.
Yeah.
But basically, I do so many deals. I do hundreds of thousands of pages of documents a
Yeah.
year. You know, when I'm really in the mood, right?
Yeah.
And if they find one page, I got myself a problem politically.
Yeah.
Okay? Look at it. They went after me for years on taxes.
Yeah.
Years.
Yeah.
They went to the United States Supreme Court. I gave them tens of thousands of pages, and you never heard about it again.
Well, that is what often happens, which is probably incredibly frustrating, which is lobbing an
Well, that's the
allegation,
problem.
and then when it's proven to be false, they
Yeah.
just move on.
Oh, they don't
It's
even
kinda
write
quiet.
about it. I called the New York Times on something. I was right, and they
The
said,
Russian
"Are
thing
you
was-
going to do?"
was wild,
Yeah,
like-
the Russian hoax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm suing Pulitzer. You don't know this? They got a Pulitzer Prize for their New York
the
Times,
hoax?
Washington
Oh, wow.
Post. Yeah, for the
Wow.
hoax. They got the Pulitzer Prize.
Yeah.
So the writers got Pulitzer Prizes for their brilliant coverage of the Russia hoax.
Interesting.
But it turned out to be right. So
Yeah.
we wrote a letter to the Pulitzer Prize,
Yeah.
right? You know, the committee, it's a big foundation.
Yeah.
And we said, it's a lawsuit that's going on right
Yeah.
now. And we said, we demand that you take back the Pulitzer Prizes. We demand a apology.
Yeah.
Because you're actually, by leaving them, you're sort of saying it happened, and it didn't happen. Everybody now is
Yeah, you're
giving it
rewarding
up.
the lie.
Yeah, so I sued them. They said, well, we did what we did. Okay,
Yeah.
that's okay, that's all right. So I sued them. And they've got themselves a big problem now.
Yeah.
And this suit's moving along, and I think we're going to win that suit easily. Because they gave people Pulitzer Prizes that were wrong.
Yeah.
You know who should get the Pulitzer Prizes equivalent, if you could? Guys like Sean Hannity.
Yeah.
Guys like, that there were numerous of them that, I mean, not as many as the fake news, as the very liberal media, but we had tremendous John Solomon, he's a great writer. So many people knew that was a hoax. They should get prizes. I don't know, Pulitzer Prize, because you don't give Pulitzer Prizes to a guy on television.
Yeah.
You can't get, in theory, a Pulitzer Prize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you had a lot of people that got that right. They got nothing. So we sued Pulitzer on the basis that they should absolutely